Welcome, everybody, to Purple Haze Podcast. I'm your lovely host, Isaac, here. So the trade deadline for the Minnesota, for all NFL teams, is going to be week 8 after Monday Night Football. The trade deadline will be then on October 31st. So basically, I was thinking I was going back and forth on two subjects, so I kind of want to get to a different subject, some trade deadline ideas. After the San Francisco 49ers win, they were sellers, but now to potentially buyers. I mean, I still got a couple of players that the Vikings can sell, basically as of the deadline. So we'll start off by the trade deadline ideas by buying. So here's my number one option I would go with if the Vikings want to go. I would go with Derrick Henry, the running back for the Tennessee Titans. I mean, he's really not going to cost that much really for the Vikings. The Vikings are only responsible, I believe, for just $5 million of their cap, or for Derrick Henry's salary at this point for the rest of the season. So, and for Derrick Henry, I mean, you could definitely have him be the running back one, mainly if they're not going to trade away Alexander Mattison. Because the running game so far has not been great. As a matter of fact, the Vikings are the third worst in the rushing attack anyways. So, I mean, if Derrick Henry can be there, because the Vikings have no touchdowns, 0 touchdowns throughout the first 7 games. So, I would get Derrick Henry for the Vikings if they want a stronger rushing attack, basically, as of right now, because I mean, I will talk about Alexander Mattison later, but you can line him up with Derrick Henry, Cam Akers, Ty Chandler. That's what I would go with. So I will be fine with trading up for Derrick Henry to basically strengthen the offense. So that's what I would do. For me personally, as of basically like some other options, Derrick Henry's my first option that I would go with as far as going with trading for Derrick Henry. I would also take a look at some defensive tackles, because you need some beef up front, because I mean, sure, blitzing has done a great job, and the Vikings have blitzed 57% of the time. That is first in the NFL as far as blitz percentage on defensive snaps. So, I mean, you can't just always... I mean, blitzing is really good. I admit it. Brian Flores is doing a good job. So, but you need basically a 4-man rush that can at least get to the quarterback without having to blitz all the time. Because that's leaving open for like a screen pass or some short yards, because that's what many teams are going to look at and say, we can just dial up short screen passes, so that way that'll work for us. We'll continue to do that and see if the Vikings will stop it. So I would go with 3 players that probably could be a good idea. Leonard Williams, the defensive tackle from the New York Giants. Jeffrey Simmons, a defensive tackle from the Tennessee Titans. And Chase Young from the Washington Commanders. These guys absolutely bring the heat when they can. They're very, very physical and strong. And you could basically replace him with Dean Lowry, because Dean Lowry's... Now realize this. There's only like 3 people that are getting up and at least creating pressure besides Lowry, because Dean Lowry is non-effective at all. He's non-existent. Almost 7 games. So I would go with basically that, because if you don't want to blitz, if you want to just rush after quarterback in case something happens. So I will go that's basically my second option. I will go with defensive tackle because you need as much beef on the defensive line as much as you can. As far as like a couple of players the Vikings can sell at the trade deadline, there's only two that I would go with right now. That's KJ Osborne. Basically, we can definitely offer up KJ Osborne. I mean, sure, he's made some nice plays, no doubt. He has done a great job, but I mean, there's also some times where he makes a goofy play, like for example, the 49ers. He had the catch, he extended his arms, he tried to make a catch, but he just dropped it. I would go with trading for KJ Osborne to get as much as we can. I mean, because KJ Osborne, I mean, he's definitely done nice things, but we can rely on as far as like a wide receiver 3, Brandon Powell, I think, can be a reliable receiver because he can absolutely probably be another punch for the Vikings receivers like Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Brandon Powell. I think Tristan Jackson can be a reliable receiver too. So you can offer up KJ Osborne. I think that will be just fine. And then for my last player, running back Alexander Mattison, we could definitely trade him too. I mean, it's basically past the point where it's just, he does not have that speed like we used to see. I mean, 7 games is a large enough sample size to know that he is not the running back one for the Vikings. There's no outburst, there's no speed, there's no like consistency or effectiveness when he runs. Basically his trade value could go up, though, when he plays against the Green Bay Packers because the Packers are bad at the run on defense as far. Their run defense is bad. So you could definitely offer up Alexander Mattison just because of that. You can rely on Cam Akers because if Cam Akers and Ty Chandler are there, and if you can't trade for Derrick Henry, I feel like Cam Akers can make more plays than Alexander Mattison can. So I would go with that all the way. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Skull.